Hi, thank you for tuning in. I am going to show you how to make this cube, I guess, that you can store things in. The paper I used is Farmhouse Market. For the tutorial, I'll be using Family Night because I don't have enough paper to make another one. I do want to say up front that this is not my original idea, so I don't want to take credit for it, but Stampin' Up has something similar, and there is a mixed up craft channel that has something like this too. So it's a combination of the two, so I can't say that this was my idea. This is basically a storage box that has 4 boxes rolled up into one, and then this is going to keep it together, this belly band. I'm going to add a pocket on the inside so you can put a card if you're giving it as a gift. But then this unties, and then your boxes will come apart and you can store things in it. Okay, they open and you can put things in. You can also choose to put pattern paper on the inside too if you want to. I did not for mine. So I do have a walkthrough of this if you want to take a look at it. I think I do. I think I did a walk. Maybe I didn't. You know what? I don't think I did for this one. So let's go ahead and get some measurements started. I don't have them written in the description box. I just put them on while I'm going through my tutorial. So if you want to get a piece of paper so that you can jot down the measurements, that's always a good idea. And then you can also freeze the screen and write them down too. So I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side for right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll give you the measurements of the paper. I'm trying to think of something I can put for the background so you can see it better. How about that? Okay, so the cardstock, on the original one I made, it was using the artisan cardstock. I'm just using some random paper that I had in my stash, so this is not the artisan that I'm using, but the measurements are 4 at 8 5/8 by 11 1/4, and that's for the boxes, the 4 individual boxes. You'll need one that's 4 3/8 by 4 1/4, and that's going to be a connector piece for the last box. And also you're going to need 2 that are 4 1/4 by 12, and that's going to become your belly band. The pattern paper, you'll need 16 at 2 by 4 1/4. Now I did 2 inches. That worked for my previous one. You might need to do 1 7/8, so you'll kind of have to play it by ear and see if your measurements need to be 2 or 1 7/8. 4 of them at 2 by 4 1/4, and that is for the top part of the box. And 8 that are 2 by 2, again, you might want to do 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. It just depends on your box. And those are for the end pieces of the 4 boxes. And then we're going to be adding a pocket inside of the belly band to hold a card. And that's just going to be a random piece of pattern paper. And I did mine 2 by 3 1/2, but you can adjust that measurement also. So those are the pieces that you will need. I have mine pre-cut. And you're going to be doing some scoring for the boxes, and this is the paper that measures 11 1/4 inches long, 8 5/8 inches down here, and you're going to have some scoring to do. We're going to increase by 2 1/8 inches every time we score. So the first score mark is at 2 1/8. So we're going to add another 2 1/8 on and get 6 3/8. Add another 2 1/8 on and you get 8 1/2. And 5/8. You're then going to rotate your paper so that the 8 5/8 inches is across the top, and you're going to do 2 score marks, 2 1/8 and 6 1/2. So the next thing you're going to do after you've done that to all 4 pieces is to cut your paper so that all of your cuts go up to the 2 score lines. The score line that was at 2 1/8, and then the score line that was at 6 1/2. Okay, so just snip up on each of those score lines so that they're all separated. So what we're going to end up with when we're done is a paper that looks like this. Okay, so once you have your cuts, I'm going to have the small piece down closest to me. I'm going to angle and cut out that rectangle, and I'm going to do that on the other side also. Angle and cut out that piece. Okay, so this is that short piece at the bottom. This first square on each side then are going to stay exactly as they are, but you want to make sure you trim it so that you don't have any of those bumps. Oh no, that's not true. Back up. This first piece we're going to cut in half. Okay, so those are cut in half, and you can just eyeball it, and then you're going to do an angle on each of those. Turn mine upside down so it's easier. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. So now that we've cut that half off, the first squares are going to be the ones that stay the same. Those are the ones you're going to see at the end of the box. So then I'm going to turn it sideways. Again, the small pieces at my left now. So this is now the second full square, and I'm going to angle that up to the score mark, and I'm going to do it on the other side also. I'm going to angle up to the score mark. Do that with your third square. And then this last box is going to end up getting cut off. Cut it as straight as you can, like so. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. I'm going to take off the bottom box. Okay, so the piece that has been mitered, the first one is going to stay exactly the way it was. So now I have that small piece on my right. The first box we cut in half, this one stays the same, and now we're going to miter, cut a small triangle up to the score line on each side. And we'll do that with this piece also, which was the third one. And we cut off that fourth one already. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So let me get rid of my scraps. I have one more to do. I've done the other ones. So again, let's go ahead and cut up to the score line on all of our scores. Turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. Okay. I am doing this during our quarantine time, which, life is a lot different right now. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and start at the bottom this time. So the small amount is at the top. So I'm going to take out the bottom two corners. Cut as straight as you can. Okay. Now this box gets mitered, the square, excuse me. Do that on both sides. Okay. Second one gets mitered. So take a small triangle off up to the fold or the score. Okay, this one stays as straight as possible, so we ignore this one, and the top square gets cut in half here like so. We're going to take off that small rectangle at an angle. Take this off at an angle. And we want to miter these half pieces by taking a pretty big chunk off, a large triangle off. Okay, so let me get rid of my scraps here. And now it's time to burnish your score marks. So let me get my mat on. So go ahead and do all of your scoring, and then I will come back and show you how to put it together. Once you have all of your papers scored, the more pattern paper you put on ahead of time, the easier it is. So I'm going to flip my box over, and we're going to place paper out on the squares that we did not trim. This first rectangle we're going to put paper on ahead of time. The second one, skip the third one and put paper on the fourth one, and don't put any on the fifth one. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around so it's easier for me. Now you do have to be careful if you have directional paper. I chose these pop bottles so the bottles go different directions, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and glue on those pieces first, because like I said, the more you paper ahead of time, I'm not running out of glue, the easier it is going to be. Okay, so doing on that first one that's next to that tab. And I did ink my edges with ink first on the pattern paper. Okay, then we can do the squares. I need to get more glue. Okay. Do the other side. We'll do the next rectangle. So, go ahead and burnish that on real well. Skip this one and go to the next panel. So do that to all 4 of those pieces. That's also going to help you to see how to attach them easier. Okay, so let me do one more. Have it upside down. I'll do the 2 squares first this time. So now I am going to end up trimming these 2 pieces just a little bit off the end, just to make sure that our box folds up nice and neat. And how is it that I am missing a square? Huh. Wonder if I dropped it on the floor. Is it right here? No. Where did that square go? Well, crud. I'll have to find it. I know I had one. That always happens to me. I don't know if it happens to you guys, but I constantly lose stuff while I'm working on my projects. And then after I make a new one, it'll show up. I'm looking around here, I don't see it. Where the heck? Oh well, I hope I have extra of that paper. I'm pretty sure I do. Okay, the second rectangle goes on. Skip the third one, go to the fourth one. Now, where is that square? Seriously. Well, I think I am going to have to cut another one. How does that happen? Okay, let me do this real quick. I really hope I have some of that paper. Yeah, alright, so let me ink this real quick. Okay, so what then I did is I took these and the ones that we tapered, and I just lightly took just like 1/8 of an inch off the ends here, just to make sure it folds up nice and doesn't have any buckling or overlapping. Just a real tiny piece. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to start gluing our box together, and the one that has the paper, we are going to take the one that's next door and put it behind. Make sure it lines up real well so it's nice and square. Burnish it. Do the other side, put glue and tuck it behind the one that already has the pattern paper on it. And then just lift it up then and burnish it. Okay. So now we're going to put in the next two. Again, make sure you've tapered a little bit off these edges. Flap them down on the inside here, and we'll just put glue on both of those. And bring those up. Make sure it's square. And burnish. And the other side. Okay, I'm just going to kind of bend that out. So I put all your boxes together like we just did, and then I'm going to show you how to connect the 4 pieces together. So now it's time to combine all 4 boxes, and so what I want you to do is to take the flap and kind of bend it over, and I want you to close your boxes and fold over that flap down. We're going to connect the flap that we folded down to the empty piece on the box, like so. Okay, so this is where it opens. This is the flap. I fold it down, and I'm going to attach it to the bottom of the other box. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on this part that I folded over. I say that, I gotta get more. Come on, glue. Okay, stick the pen in there. Maybe I just need to clean it out. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to fold that down, and I'm going to attach it to the bottom of that other box that we did not paper on the bottom. Okay, so they're attached. Now I'm going to open it up and burnish it. So I did the other two boxes the same way. I've already combined those. Okay, so tuck that down. So now I did the other ones. I did it the same way. So I'm going to fold this one down, and I'm going to attach it to the bottom here. Yep. So fold it over. Put our glue on. And bump it up to the bottom of that box in front of it. Making sure it lines up real well. Burnish. Actually, I'm going to open it up. I think it's easier to burnish when you open up the box. Hold on. I say that, but now I can't get my hand in there. Okay, so now I need to attach this piece. So we were short one end, so this was the piece that we cut out that was 4 3/8 by 4 1/4. Place your 4 1/4 inch side across the top of your scoreboard and to score it in half at 2 1/8. Okay. And so if you fold up your box, you can see that we only have a flap on one side, so we need another flap so that it closes. So I'm going to burnish this in half, and I'm going to glue this down so that it's connected to the box where there's no paper, and then this will come up and meet this one, and that's how it's going to close. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on the bottom, just 1/2 of the piece that we just folded. And I'm just going to place that on this box here. And now we need to go and put on the paper of the box, the pieces that we have not yet papered. The other side. We have one on the bottom here that we need to do. Alright, and now, stay in there. I need to put one on the top here. Okay, so then we cut out 4 pieces that were, at least I did, 4 different ones for the closure. So there's going to be 2, we need to put one on the outside here, one over here, and then I'm also going to put them on the inside also so that it looks nice. So now you can go ahead and apply those. Alright, this might be a little bit awkward to show, but I'm going to punch the 2 holes in the top, so make sure that your pieces are lined up. And I am going to use my big bite, but I have to hold it up like this, so it's going to be kind of hard to see. I also am going to be use seam binding then to attach the 2 so that they stay together. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. I have it on the larger hole rather than the smaller one. And is that going to, I'm just going to put one here. Keep your box together and there. So that's how I did mine. And then I'm just going to thread this through. And I will trim it down. Get that through there. Here's what works best for me. I have these really awesome thin okay, there we go. And take the other end, and I'm just going to use my tweezers here. And go ahead and tie it. And then you can trim off the excess. Alright, so let me trim off the extra. Alright, so that's what I have right now, and now we're going to do like a belly band around the outside. You might choose to decorate the top if you want. Trying to decide if I want something here or not. So what you're going to need is the two pieces that are 4.5 by 12, and we're going to combine those two pieces into one long piece. So I'm just going to use art glitter glue and combine them, but then you're going to want to give it a little bit of a time to dry. And I'm just going to overlap about 1/4 of an inch. Make sure they're lined up. Okay, let's give that a little chance to dry here. Now I don't think I've given the measurements, I know I haven't, for the pattern paper for the band here. So I'll have to do that still. Alright, so I'm just going to make the creases. I don't want this where we connected it, I don't want that in the front. So I'm going to move that off to the side, and I'm just going to like so. So I have, what is that? Probably about 4 inches of overhang on this side, and I'm just going to bend that over. Okay, then I'll bend the other side over. Just make a crease, flip it, make another crease here, flip it again, make another crease here, and then we're going to end up trimming it. Alright, so now you can go ahead and take that off and just give it a more sharp burnish. So now we're going to trim the excess. So I just want to see. Alright, I'm going to cut about right here. There's no exact measurement, I just use my ruler and my blade and trim off the extra. And then I will glue those two together. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue. I think I want to add my gift card pocket first, and I want mine in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to glue this 2 by 3.5 inch piece down at the bottom and just put glue on 3 sides. so we can stick a card in there. I'm just going to center it like so. Okay, so now let's get back to gluing this puppy together. Alright, so I'm going to put a piece of score tape on this end. So that I'm going to put a piece of score tape on this end. Take off the backing. And I'll just bring those together, make sure it's straight. As you cut out the paper for the belly band, I had two sides that I needed to cut the paper at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then the other two sides were 4 1/4 by 4 1/8. So you just kind of need to measure your box just to see what measurements you'll need. So they were all 4 1/8 inches tall, but yeah, I had to cut 2 at 4 1/4 and 2 at 4 1/8. So then the easiest way to glue this on is just to flatten this out and glue them on like that. Okay, so let me go ahead. I've done two sides. Let me do the other two. The fun part then is going to be decorating the belly band. Now, I had mentioned at the beginning of this video that Stampin' Up! Has one similar to this. Actually, theirs might be triangular boxes, I'm not sure. And then so did Mixed Up Craft. But I think she put in tabs to open the box. These boxes, she put little tabs on them to make it easier to open. You can do that too. Oh my gosh, I need to get glue. Make sure I get the edges real good. Okay, so see how easy it is to apply these because it's flat, and it's going to be easy to put that on there. And then the last one, like so. And then I'll just decorate.